the meeting to order. Start with the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
President Warner is out due to personal issues. Secretary Treasurer Horowitz.
Here.
Trustee Pell.
Present.
Trustee Stafford.
Here.
Trustee Welker.
Here.
Sir, we have a quorum present this afternoon.
All right, thank you very much. I see that we have an executive session, but that's scheduled for 3:15. So I think what we'll do is we'll
Move it to the end.
move that to
Okay.
the end. We'll move the executive session, I think, to the end. We have Ed Warner is out today for personal reasons, so I'll be running the meeting today. And I see we have a discussion here with Mr. Matt Ivins from Suffolk Environmental. It's a discussion regarding the use of cable chocking for floating docks. Mr. Matt Ivins, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice to see you.
Good to see you guys. So I'll try to be brief.
Sit down and sign in.
So as I'm signing in, I talked to Ed about this. I got a project in his area where the water is, it's in a man-made canal
Okay.
at 56 Middle Pond Road, I believe. It's got a pending application. They hired us after the fact, after they submitted, but they haven't done underwater mapping on it yet. And from what I could tell, it was pretty shallow conditions over there. What we've been doing in Southold is, I mean, you guys have been dealing with chocking of the floats. We've been using cable stays to hold the floating dock over 2.5 feet of water, or 2.5 feet over the underwater grade. I talked to Ed. I said, is this feasible in your eyes? And he asked me to come before the board and discuss it with you guys. So I don't know your stance. Basically, I'm just trying to get a feeling.
Do you have any diagrams or something for us to look at?
I do, actually, yeah. I'll show you what we just recently got approved in Southold. Just bear with me.
Matt, does Southold have anything in their town code or regarding chalking that I could review as well?
Nothing spelled out really about it. It's just a different approach to the chocks. I mean, it's just basically people usually use timbers for the chalking. My question isn't so much about, again, specific to using cables. It's specific to you guys as a board. What are your thoughts about chalking, about keeping a floating dock elevated in shallow water conditions? Because I have homeowners who don't want to just suddenly invest, hundreds and hundreds of dollars into underwater mapping, application fees. They want to get a feel for the board's thoughts about this kind of
All
thing.
right, so let me just.
What happens when you take the float out for the winter? What happens to the cables?
Let me show you what that looks like.
I would take them out, and then have them reinstalled by the dock contractor. So, I mean, this is semi-new to us. We've done 2 so far in Southold.
Have they overwintered?
See, I don't know the answer to that.
And what happens to the float that's held up by cabling on a major storm?
Well, in this case, it's going to be it's a very small canal, so I don't think it's going to have that much effect, but
It ices in there, though. It ices in Middle Pond.
in that, yeah. Yeah, I don't have the answer for that. I'm just curious, though, historically, have you guys
I don't think we ever
dealt with
did.
these? Any kind of chocks?
We did,
In
no,
terms
we
of
have
timbers.
done chocks,
Yeah.
but nothing with cables. My own
Okay.
personal view on
Yeah.
cables, I would try to stay away from them.
Yeah.
Because one, they could corrode, and they can snap without warning, unless you have some type of safeguard on the, so
Yeah,
it doesn't come
which
down
would
to
probably be some kind of like a chalk itself anyway.
chalk itself, so you
Yeah.
might as well just have a chalk.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess my question is to you guys, does the board approve chalks? Well, it sounds like
Yeah,
timbers.
chalks, we do.
But you guys, okay, so,
We have done that, so.
all right, so that's basically what I was looking for, just that there's a glimmer of hope here. So I can go back to the client and say, proceed with the underwater mapping, and let's go for that.
And go for wooden chalks.
All right.
Yeah, the chalk seems like it's.
That's really about it.
Simpler
Yeah.
approach,
simple.
it's less to
Okay.
go wrong, it's probably
Yeah.
less expensive.
Yeah.
less moving parts.
What kind of water do your clients have?
That's the thing, I mean, for visually, I know they don't have 2.5 feet of water, and I said, the next step is to get underwater mapping by Bob Fox, somebody like that, and they said, well, you know, we gotta make sure that this is gonna fly, you know, because I guess financially, it's not, you know, this isn't something they can just dump money into. So I have to believe they don't have the water. I mean, the further you go out towards the mouth of that canal, you do. So,
I mean, if you want to do research on the cable, like,
not really, I mean, it's just, you know what, I was just.
ask
throwing
different
out
dock
there.
builders,
Yeah.
what they use, they have used them over in Southold,
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
We never, I have never, no
that's
one
what I'm
ever.
saying, it's new to
never
us
asked.
too, so I'm
Yes.
just curious.
Is
but
there eelgrass in there?
Not that I can see, and again, I can see the bottom,
Right.
you know,
Now.
so.
I mean, you can
yeah.
buy high-quality stainless steel wires, but,
Yeah.
are they going to do that?
Well, plus the cost too, the cost is
course.
probably gonna be insane.
Yeah, and then you have to have it braided and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, so, all right. That's really it. I just want to get a feel from the board, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Here's your plans.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I think that what we need to do is move on with permitting,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Thanks, Matt.
Get Costello and Scope.
Costello?
Yeah, they want to do him first. I think he's Bruce.
I got one with him.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to go out of order, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because he has something where to go. He asked me.
All right. Come on up, Mr. Costello.
Thank you. I was just texting for a sitter.
Sitter.
Yeah. For the baby.
Bruce has your,
Yeah, Bruce has it. This is about Gorowski.
Can you just state your name for the record, sir, and who you're here representing?
Jack Costello of Costello Marine for Eric Gorowski.
you have to
so
sign
much.
in too.
That's what it looks like today.
So this is about, could you just describe the project?
It's just a bulkhead replacement. We're going to raise the bulkhead up 18 inches, and we're moving the west return back in line with the property line, which is, gives the town more bottom. So we're actually bringing the bulkhead back, raising it so it's not breached during the high tide. The bulkhead's too low, and it's pretty straightforward. We're gonna gain 45 yards by moving the bulkhead back, and then we're gonna have to probably truck in 100 yards of clean sand.
What is the height of the neighbors?
There is no neighbors,
No neighbors?
nothing. And this is I agree with the project raising it up because on top of the hill is a swimming pool.
Okay.
And let's say something happened with the line or whatever, this buffer and keeping it grade below 4 inches would probably trap right there, because it's clean rocks right now, the buffer is.
So is that what the buffer is going to stay, or are you going to vegetate it?
It'll probably be stone, like a stone buffer. Everybody's so worried about the ticks and stuff.
Yeah, they're taking the walkway out of there, they're taking the shed off out of there, so we gain, it'd be a nice, clean buffer.
And moving the bulkhead back.
And this property also has a conservation board approval, so it
Yes.
has pursuant to that approval.
Yep.
An even further extended buffer.
Can you send some more of the paperwork this way? What do you have, the survey or the,
What do you want to see? I'll put it up on here.
oh, you got it up here? Never mind. He'll put it
What
up
do you
here.
want to see?
Well, if you could just show the survey, I think that would be good. Take a look at the property. You say it's
When you
already got
raise the
extensive buffer
property-
that's protecting it. So you have a substantial amount of buffering on this property already.
You can see it's pretty well even,
This is the
that
survey.
walkway's gonna go, but if that thing pops, we
I'm
can
going to show you the plans.
run right
Yeah,
now.
see the return off to the one side.
Should absorb it 4 inches
You gonna
above.
put a
It
return on the other side
goes
too?
like another
Yes.
15 feet that way.
Is that depicted on this?
This
plan?
guy's got
Let
a,
me put it, I'll pull up
This
the
is
plans.
where-
Yeah, it kind of shows where the shed
Hey,
is.
hey, Jack, is any plans to keep the water when the water comes up from going over to the neighbors? That's what we're concerned when you raise it up higher than the neighbors when it,
Well, there's really no neighbor on one side, it's just a right of way.
right away, okay?
And then the way it's graded is the other neighbors has a bluff. So it's a little bit steeper, so that's not really
No,
an
no
issue in the
problem.
situation.
Okay.
But there's
And it's
just,
only- and we're only raising it this much, it's only
Yeah.
18 inches.
but there's good marsh on either side? At
there's
least on,
marsh on one side,
Okay.
as you can see here, which I took a picture of.
And like I said, we're moving it back, so we'll be giving more, like 6 feet more marsh area. So you'll be gaining a few hundred square feet of bay bottom.
James.
You can see on that side is where it's gonna move back. And that's just like a public, like right of way where people have their kayaks and stuff.
Right.
So that's actually gonna give them more room, and we're gonna pick up 45 yards of fill from that area. And the neighbor to the east is a steeper grade, so our return, bringing it up 18 inches doesn't really affect the neighbor.
Won't affect him, okay.
And the buffer is,
No
I see,
complaints from the neighbor on this? Okay.
the buffer's all the way up to that line? Is that?
Yes, naturally vegetated
Who
wetland.
Right,
said
so you've
there's no complaints from the
Non-fertilization
neighbor?
buffer.
Right, so you've got a
And, Butch
substantial,
Hog?
he's got a big
Where
buffer
is it?
on this.
Butch Hog,
Am I
Pine Neck
talk-
Avenue.
Okay. Not by where John lives,
John is,
next one over.
Totally compliant,
yeah,
Blue
he's
Book?
off Pine Neck and he goes off. You can see John's from his,
Okay. That's before John's,
yeah. He's like 3 away from the marina itself.
okay.
Strongly encourage any type of vegetation that you saw fit to put in here in place of any of these rocks, just because it helps to absorb the nutrients as they're coming down, especially if it's a graded slope. So even if it's on the side, it would make a difference.
How many feet of vegetative buffer do you have on there now, from that line to that, what is that dimension?
Conservation Board's gonna make him plant.
Right, so what is that distance?
It's about 10 feet.
Easily.
Probably a little bit more than that.
Do you have?
The conservation buffer is from that line that you're showing that's seaward of the pool. Is that a pool?
Yes, the pool's at the top of the hill.
Pool's top of the hill, but that line, is that the area that has to be naturally vegetated right there? What is that distance there?
Natural vegetation.
Naturally vegetated
Yeah.
wetland, non-fertilization buffer.
Because there's your sucker right there.
Perhaps James can pull up the Conservation Board approval.
It says, based on the review of the applicant's plan, proposed deposition of 140 cubic yards of fill appears to extend more than 10 feet landward of the bulkhead, a 5-foot contour. Please attach survey. Environmental Division recommends the project be redesigned to limit the fill deposition portions of the buffer within 10 feet of the bulkhead and revegetate the buffer in accordance with the requirements of the wetlands permit. Charlie Bravo 18064.
Regrade area to plant naturally vegetated wetland, non-disturbance, non-fertilized buffer as required by
So you'll be
wetlands.
totally in compliance
Yeah.
with that.
So that's no rocks then. Good.
Is that?
Well, wait a second.
Well, you could use rocks
Couldn't use rocks,
around some bushes.
yeah.
Yeah, it'll permeate down better, because you want to let the
Water go down quick.
water go down quicker, because it's going to break down, the nitrogen is going to break down in the ground, not up top due to any vegetation.
Right, so, but you're gonna have a substantial buffer there, it looks like. As it
Before it
is,
even
before
hits
you
that.
even hit the rocks,
Yeah,
you got a
yeah.
huge buffer there.
Because the pool's up on the top of a hill,
Right.
and then there's a hill down to where the bulkhead area is.
Right, so that's gonna slow that all down.
Right.
Will absorb what it's gonna absorb, and before it hits that point where it could run off, there's gonna be
Yeah,
another buffer of stones or sand that's gonna stop that from getting over.
there's going to be layer, yeah, right. And ideally, behind the bulkhead's going to be flat, so that's where you really want the water to go into the ground, because,
Now, when you say 18, you're gonna leave a lip at the top of that bulkhead?
there'll be a little bit of a lip. Usually we fill it, and then it settles. Generally, they want about 4 inches.
So you're gonna leave a 4-inch lip, so you're gonna have all this vegetation, then you're gonna have the sand or stone buffer, and then there's gonna be a
Right.
4-inch lip so that it can't.
Right. The idea is to make it as pervious as possible, so that it gets into the ground.
Goes quick.
Yeah, because a lot of times with the hard plantings, they want that, but it gives the water a quicker ability to get down into the bay. Having a stone buffer behind the bulkhead actually gives it more of a chance to get down into the ground where the nitrogen will
Goes,
break
sink
down.
quicker.
Well, you got a combination of,
It'll be a combination of
you
both.
got a combination of both going on there.
And you have so much before that.
Is it fully Blue Book compliant at this stage of the game?
If so.
What's your recommendation there, Trustee Stafford?
I'd like to move forward.
I have no problems with it.
I'm okay with it, Blue Book compliance. It's okay.
And so she's, like
We're
this.
advancing.
All right, we're advancing. it.
Please.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking me first.
Anybody else have anything that's absolutely pressing here? Let's I see we've got JMO here, the Adams. This is 26 Weesick Avenue.
There's a couple, actually. Ed has one, too.
Yeah, well, I see these folks sitting here.
You gonna do Ed's first, Scott?
I'm doing Adams, this is, because they're sitting
Not
here.
that. This is another chair. James, can you grab one of those chairs over there?
There's also
No,
this
there's a
one.
chair right here.
Yeah, I know, but these folks are here, so we'll... All right, so we're proposing to replace a storm-damaged 5x20 float dock pod utilizing untreated material attached to an existing 5x40 float, which had been approved under trustee permit number 5031, which was issued on August 3rd, 1987. So basically, you've replaced a float with compliant material at this point in time. At this point in time, we Blue Book compliant, James?
There's the old permit in there
Yeah.
in the back, the last page of in the folder, sorry. In the folder, who's got, it says permit right there.
This one here?
No. Yeah, right here.
Oh, you're back here.
Yeah. So that's the original permit
Oh, okay.
for a 5x60 foot float.
So you replaced,
They replaced the farthest
20 foot.
float, 5x20 foot float. Without a permit, they're coming in to get a permit to do that.
right, so they had a prior permit for their work, but they replaced the 5x20 section without getting a permit, got a notice of violation, so now you're coming in to get the permit for the work that you did, which is now compliant with their permit that they were issued with proper material?
That's what I was just going to ask.
All
It's
non-treated?
It's untreated and plastic floats.
Glenn, this thing's totally,
It's just totally compliant.
100%. It looks to me like it's, I went over there and looked at it, it's south of where all the Marines are. At this point in time, it's compliant. I would say we should advance. Blue Book compliant, you good with that? Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. All right, so let's
We're advancing Adams, Scott?
advance Adams. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, that's,
Thank you.
Do you want to do the other two?
We could do, well, that's not theirs, we could do Glenn since he's here.
Oh, I see.
do you have my permits and stuff? No.
Not with me, but
But you have.
Yeah, we're finished with yours.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
Glenn
you're
has,
welcome.
while you're here, you have,
Farrell. Ed's. And then one of mine.
Farrell, 6-seater. This is one of Ed Warner's. It's a 4x25 fixed dock utilizing through-flow decking and the ladder on the seaward end. Totally Blue Book compliant, right?
Yep.
Let me pull some plans out for the
Yeah.
board. Unless you want to put them up. This is one of Edward's. Here's a picture.
They're gonna be
Yeah, no.
projected up on the
Taking a
screen
while.
for the boards. I think of the word. Convenience. I'm thinking of the word they want.
Board's examination.
Internet's slow.
Soundings.
I think it's the Wi-Fi in this room, don't you? Scott, it's up on the
Okay.
screen.
So he doesn't make the depth measurements, so that's why it's just a catwalk at 25 feet
So that's all he's allowed.
with a ladder at the end.
we had that pre-application with James, and
The only other thing that we had to tinker with is, you notice how the property lines on sheet one run at a strange angle, so just to position the proposed fixed dock to keep in compliance with, keeping the setback off the property line.
Right, so you're well over 10 feet off, and you're not crossing any extended property lines.
And it's
So
flow-through decking.
flow-through decking.
4x4 entry.
So it's completely compliant with the Blue Book at this point in time.
And there's a ladder.
There's a
Yes.
ladder on the plans. Get you up to speed, Bill. It's 25 foot, couldn't make appreciable water depth. He's off the property line, and he's not crossing any extended property line.
Is it just a fixed dock?
Yeah.
A ladder at the sewer then.
With a ladder?
Ladder at the end.
Yeah.
You okay?
I'm fine with that.
So this one, you could advance.
Okay, so 6 Cedar Drive is advancing?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that you have another one with Trustee Welker?
Correct. It was double access partners. It's, I think it's in Ann's area, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Do you want to describe it, Glenn? Because it's sort of a,
Well, the applicant proposes to reconstruct in place and up to 18 inches higher in elevation. I don't know, what is it, 172 feet of smooth face timber bulkhead with a 27-foot return with Navy-style vinyl bulkhead, and to backfill the structure with 50 cubic yards of clean sand to be trucked in for an upland source. To reconstruct in kind and in place a 4 by 152 foot, which is 608 square foot, of timber boardwalk, which runs directly landward of the existing bulkhead, and a 15 by 27 foot, which is 405 square foot timber deck, which is located on along the western property line, and to temporarily remove 138 feet of various width rock splash pad. They want to take the stones out during the construction and then put the stones back in upon the completion of the project, just to act as a splash pad. And I think Ann had contacted me 2-3 weeks ago. You had questions, I guess, about that 27 by 15 foot deck on the eastern side. Part of it was going to fall into conservation boards, or, I think that was your question, wasn't it?
yes. So
Can you
we're
Can you go
asking
back to the
about,
first one?
Yeah, go back.
You're going too fast.
Sorry.
so right, that upper right-hand corner, there's a deck that
Is that
abuts-
attached to the bulkhead?
Yes.
Yes.
So if it,
And it's over the water?
No,
No.
it's a boat, there's a boat slip in there that's shoaled over. You can see where the
Okay.
current high water line is.
Okay.
And that's it. The bulkhead goes around both sides, all three sides of the boat slip, then it goes across 15 feet and then back 27 feet. So that's completely on uplands.
Martha, I think we asked you about this deck as well.
Yes. I'm of the opinion that the deck is beyond the trustee's jurisdiction, and that it shouldn't really be part of this application.
But my opinion, if it's nailed to the bulkhead, then we take jurisdiction. If it's not nailed to the bulkhead, then she's right.
Well, normally I do agree that if it's
Yeah.
structurally affixed to the bulkhead, do you have dimensions on that though, like in terms of how
Well, along
far
the-
upland it goes?
Well, along the eastern side, it goes 27 feet back, and then east to west, 15 feet. And then inside the boat slip, the bulkhead is 25 feet long.
And it's also within the 10 feet of behind the bulkhead. So,
But it extends beyond that 10 feet.
yeah, so.
Yeah, but we take, I agree with him, we take the precedence of the 10 foot. It's just like this gentleman before, we wanted to shed off the 10 foot, and he's removing from the property line. I had one in Bay Point, same thing, she wanted a walkway. I wanted my buffer, but she did not attach it to the bulkhead.
You know, this is one of those close ones, so I think, it's up to the board ultimately to decide whether or not it takes jurisdiction over it. You know, you have a man-made boat basin here, right? And you can see where the average mean high water line is.
The deck in question.
This is being constructed or reconstructed?
Reconstruction,
So it's already there.
yeah.
So who's permitted this? Pardon? Who permitted it prior?
Prior permit?
Yeah.
I think the prior owner had been,
No, the permit, who did?
Who did, who,
Did the construction, did the bulkhead have a permit
the
to begin
trustees
with?
permit this?
We asked that, and I don't think we got an answer. It's not in
I
our
couldn't
records.
find anything, but I did not perform I have a copy of the, you know, the tile transfer and, you know, the deed and things like that, but I did not.
So we don't know.
Well,
But is there, so there's a permit for the structure now, or there's not a permit? This deck?
As I recall, we couldn't find one.
So it might be,
So there's no permit for this
might be
deck?
there put in there illegal.
Right, so the deck may have no permit for it. So then the question would be, if there's no permit for that deck, would we permit this deck? It's a 27 feet by,
It's a
how wide?
really big-
15 feet?
It's a
15.
huge deck.
It's a huge deck, so we generally are permitting, you know, it's not a commercial structure, right?
Walkway.
Yeah, we go with walkway stuff, some, you know, it's usually what we do.
So maybe we, before we go any further, we need to determine whether there is or is not a permit for this deck.
Well, yeah, because we generally, I don't think, get involved in decks that big.
This bulkhead right here, is this a bulkhead or back here? That could be from the conservation board. But is this in the village, or is this?
it's in the village.
In the village.
In the village.
That's beyond the 10 feet, so we have nothing to do with that. I mean, you can give up the square footage of the walkway in, for the deck maybe. But to have both square footage, or lose all that square footage, this could be dangerous.
Well,
I was actually going to suggest that it's a long walkway, that perhaps we could shrink the walkway a bit,
Which walkway is this?
the wooden one along the bulkhead. Does it need to be the whole way along? And instead vegetate some of that?
I don't think it's really gonna live there as beach grass, because it's gets overwashed there like all the time in a while.
All the time. There was, when I was initially there was ice, salt ice back
Yeah.
about 15 feet. Well, you can see there.
So again, I'm of the opinion that where we have a structure that is not a marine dependent structure, although it is attached to the bulkhead, but it extends more than 10 feet in all directions of the bulkhead, that it should probably have the benefit of a village building permit at a minimum.
I have COs here from the village, but they don't, they mention decks, but they don't, they're not
doesn't
specific.
specify that. I'm just trying to figure out, you know, if the council's saying this, we generally, like trustee Pell's saying, if it's attached to the
That's what it's-
bulkhead.
yeah.
I
You know,
agree, but in general, things that are attached to the bulkhead tend to be walkways, marine dependent structures such as a boat lift.
They might,
Um,
they could have a permit for both of us. have the
Well,
same
they
permit.
could, and
They could.
sometimes people have, there are situations where there was, you know, activities that were permitted.
It's different from when we deal with instances in the town where it's always an issue of, is it under the jurisdiction of the Conservation Board or is it under the jurisdiction of the trustees? Village of West Hampton doesn't have something like that. And the reason why we have that conflict is because Chapter 325 of the Town Code, which governs the Conservation Board in the town of Southampton, says that no Conservation Board permit is required where a trustee permit is issued. That conflict doesn't exist, to my knowledge, in the West Hampton Village Code. So again, we don't have the same sort of tension of over jurisdiction as we normally do when we're dealing with properties that are in the town. So again, Village of West Hampton may still require a building permit for this structure.
They will,
And then that's fine.
but
So there's-
but this will not require Conservation Board,
There's no Conservation
no,
Board.
because we're in an incorporated village, okay.
Yeah, it won't.
Okay.
Yeah, unless they institute a conservation board, right?
Yep.
So in that respect, we don't have a jurisdictional issue. I think it's fine if the trustees want to grant their permission, as long as we're not circumnavigating any
Right, so-
village
But
requirements.
this is a residential facility? What are we?
Yes, it's
There's
residential.
condominiums on either side.
On both sides,
But it's a
but it's
house.
but it's a house.
Yeah.
In between.
So, and they don't, you can't, yeah, we haven't issued a permit for this prior. We're not working off of, reconstruction or something where they were prior
Are you
granted.
dredging the slip?
No.
No,
It's like,
they're just using it as like a little beach.
Beach.
That's good.
the question is, do we generally, when it's a new structure, non-permitted, would you approve this larger deck?
Again,
Can you zoom in on the picture again?
Would the trustees
What
approve this
picture?
larger deck?
It's like one of these now.
what we're saying is we don't have any
Which one?
historical permits on file for
We had a
any,
historical
for
permit
anything, right?
That one's good. I just
for the
want to see
deck,
what-
anyway.
Yes, that's you're looking for,
We-
the east side of the,
Yes.
side of the deck facing west. And you can see how the slope is filled in there.
Yeah. So,
big deck that we normally
Ann,
approve, right?
you
Well,
can,
like I said,
you
I
can
think that
say
you can,
that all the grass
you
has
can-
to stay, they just have to make a
it's
path
different
to the
because
deck.
this is the village, so you're not.
Because you have good vegetation all the way
I'm
around.
not worried about the jurisdiction, I'm worried
Yeah.
about the consistency of what this board approves,
I agree.
right? In terms of, people come and they want to put a big deck right on the thing, and we're generally trying to get buffers and native vegetation and allow people to service their boats and enjoy the waterfront, but not provide a gigantic deck, so I don't know what your recommendation.
I think that what the trustees can do is they can grant permission for that deck to be affixed to the trustee I'm sorry.
To the
They can-
bulkhead.
To the bulkhead that is being approved by this board,
But
Subject to
ask
the-
for,
subject to
Subject
any
to-
other approvals granted by the village
of West Hampton.
of West Hampton.
Okay,
That's the right way to do it, respect them.
okay. And, Bill, what did you suggest? That,
Well, you have all the
there's-
grass around, are they, you're gonna leave the grass around where the beach is, or they're just gonna make a path?
There is actually bulk in it. I took
Yeah, but they're not gonna, they're gonna leave that grass after they bulk it, or they're gonna get rid of it?
they'll replace, we'll replace the buff.
Okay.
What's your recommendations there? Yeah.
That's pretty thick.
the DEC said no tidal wetlands vegetation will be disturbed.
Right, we just received the DEC permit last Friday.
They permit the deck as well?
Yes.
But they have a different jurisdiction.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Just curious.
I think if we could revise the project description to say that the applicant is seeking the consent of the trustees to affix a proposed deck or a reconstructed deck on the bulkhead, that would be something the trustees could approve
Okay,
without running afoul of any building requirements in the
Okay.
village of
So
West
get
Hampton.
the square footage charge.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
they'll
Can
make
you-
whatever calculations.
What was exactly what you need from me, please?
Sure, so that you would revise it
The project
and that,
description?
revise the project description to say that the applicant is seeking the consent of the trustees to affix the reconstructed deck to the bulkhead being approved by the trustees. But that the deck itself is not what the trustees are approving, just that it can be connected to the bulkhead.
But they're still gonna get a permit from us for it.
Well, they're getting a permit for the bulkhead and all the other work, right?
And the deck too. We should still have give them a permit for it, subject to the West Hampton Village permit, because it's attached,
It's attached, sure.
so.
Well, we're granting permission for it to be attached.
Yeah, but we should still,
Okay.
you know, have it off, I meant so we can charge them.
So if I may, I'm just going to change the project description to say that we're seeking consent of the board of trustees to reconstruct the existing, I'll put the dimensions of the deck will be connected to the bulkhead to be reconstructed.
Sure.
Yeah, we want the dimensions on the plans,
Okay,
so we know exactly how big it is, so it
Okay.
doesn't get any smaller or any larger.
we can do that.
so you guys are okay with that?
We're holding this in, or we're advancing pending what, receipt of a new cover sheet?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you get
Can
that
you-
tomorrow?
What's that?
Can you get the cover sheet tomorrow?
Sure.
So
The email?
advance pending.
Yes.
Thank you.
advance pending receipt of the proper paperwork.
All set?
That's all you have from us, right?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down.
Thanks,
Thank you
Glenn.
for your time, appreciate it.
And I see Gina's here, right? Gina? How are you? You have a Tupacana Crescent LLC, right?
A continuing saga. Oh, man.
So Ed's not here, as you know.
I sit down. So, last meeting, there was a lot of back and forth. And I said I had to talk to the client about what they want to do. Ed suggested that the only other option is to just reconstruct the portions of the bulkhead that's on his property and put a return within the property line to protect his house. So I did. That was it. In the meantime, I went back and rephotographed. The privets are still there, but he has agreed to remove them. There's a split rail fence that's falling down. He has agreed to remove as well. And there's no garbage cans there right now, but I'll double check. I asked him to, upon approval from the board, have these encroachments removed and call me to photograph after. Note that there is actually existing native vegetation just on the road side of the privet that will not be touched. There's Rosa virginica, there's some vine species, there's like a Russian olive, a cedar, there's some native stuff that you wouldn't be touching.
So he's just doing his own bulkhead, he's not doing,
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
I did my best to try to get this thing through because that town bulkhead's in really bad shape.
Yeah.
But I can't make people do things. I wish I could.
It lost
Life in
its-
general.
It lost its stairs recently.
It's not in good shape yet.
A lot of the town and the trustees' stuff is, in need of repair.
It
You know,
is.
We're
It's
we're
really-
trying to work this out. We got Baycrest is gonna be getting fixed, that job, we just,
Yeah, I remember working on that boat ramp years ago.
yeah, well, we just got that awarded, and, we got a deal with the town, some bonding, and we're gonna pay out of our enterprise revenue and try and pick away at these things. And
Oh, I
we're
get
working
it.
on Bay Avenue, we're doing the best we can, we need better ways to pay for these things. We worked on the tax line to try and get it spread out that way, that's on hold now. It costs money to do these projects, especially on the municipal side.
Yeah, people
Very
don't
expensive.
realize the vinyl bulkheads are, 800 linear foot for Navy style, so,
Baycrest just under $500,000 to
yeah.
fix that place, right?
Oh, I totally understand.
So,
Not even getting into the dredging projects.
yeah,
It's
well, the
crazy.
dredging, yeah, I mean, we just,
Crazy money.
it is crazy money, so, here we are playing catch-up on a lot of this stuff, and it's very expensive, and everybody wants to enjoy it, and you want it to be safe. You have areas where we have to cordon off with snow fence.
Yeah, you may actually have to do this, or a temporary fix coming up, because that's a really populated fishing spot. It's packed all the time, and
And it just
Yeah,
lost
it
the
is.
ladder?
yeah, it's a bit of a hazard.
I go fishing down there usually about once a week, and hasn't had stairs for a while, so we just rely on good ankles and jump.
we can have maintenance to go down and fix
You
it.
could
Yeah,
put-
that's all we can
You
do.
could put plywood on the back and some filter fabric and some sand
Maybe put a-
temporarily.
have maintenance
That's
go
what we
down
did
there.
after
There used to just be
Fix the
two
ladder.
little low stairs that went down to the
Bruce is
beach.
gonna go
Yeah.
have maintenance go down there.
Take a peek
have a ladder
at it.
fixed.
Maybe
I
a
ride around the
temporary
truck,
fix.
I ride around the truck with a roll of duct tape, and I just,
Okay, let's,
best I can.
let's move on.
I want to see that.
So what do you want to do with this one here?
Go forward, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
You guys
Did
fine
Edward
with
get
it?
to review this? It's his area, and,
Yeah, Ed reviewed it.
We can put it up into its discussion.
Yeah.
whatever Ed wants to
You want
do.
to advance it pending approval from
I just,
trustee Warner?
I know that he had concerns about the return, if it's actually a return or is it just extending the bulkhead?
No, the return's going back into the property.
Well, it's going along the
line.
property line.
Yeah, it's like right
So-
in the middle of the
We
property.
usually return, go
Yeah.
back.
So wait until Ed.
Well, we
I- it's
could
something-
advance it, and if Ed wants to pull it,
He could call me
He
if
could
he has
call you.
questions too.
because if the board is generally in favor of it, and out of respect for, for trustee Warner, who's been working on this pretty diligently for quite some time, I think he should make sure that he's totally comfortable with it, so you could say it's okay, but if he wants to hold it back, give him that opportunity.
Yeah, it's definitely a return, totally within the property line. But go ahead and have him call me.
We're advancing that, Scott?
Yeah, advance it pending, as long as Ed's fine with it.
Okay, the next one is Strauss. It's in West Hampton Beach, 168. Am I right? And Ann asked me to hold off and wait and see what the DEC said if they were closing the slip off. That's not functional. It's completely filled with sand. And we can't dredge the slip like we normally would. There's actually a very large beach in front of it, and there's no appreciable depth. Like, their sand goes out into the waterway. So there's no avenue to even get into the slip if we
So he
wanted
wants to
dredge
just
the
go across?
Just go right across, right. And then back to the Village of West Hampton Beach thing. There is a large deck there. We are removing it. It actually does have a Village of West Hampton Beach pending permit with no start. And as you may or may not be aware, Paul Houlihan's not there anymore. He retired. Brad Hammond has now taken it over. He's the new building inspector for West Hampton Beach. And he may do things a little differently than Paul. In the past, Paul wouldn't care if the deck was there or not. But Brad may care. So after I get all of these, everything will be copied into Brad.
You mean on this permit you're talking about?
This, yes.
Okay.
Everything will be copied into Brad with a decision on a no start to the deck that was previously asked to be reconstructed, that nothing ever happened, that we're actually removing. So all
So-
these permits will be copied to Brad.
In the case of this one where the deck is,
You're taking
make
it
that
out.
a little bit bigger, James, so we can see. Oh, so you're taking it up and
Taking out the
it'll be
deck.
landward of mean and high water.
Right.
All right, because I was gonna say the existing conditions, that if you were keeping in that same spot, it would require a trustee permit because it's
Right.
on pilings and.
So we're taking that big massive deck out, and we're just doing the 4-foot boardwalk the whole way across instead. But I will, of course, follow up with Brad saying, I'm aware of the fact there's a no started permit that's in existence.
You want to, excuse me,
We're removing it. If I have to do a demo or something with him.
you wanted to close this off, that's what your permit's asking for?
Correct. It's 17 feet to close it off.
Okay.
And reconstruct the bulkhead in place of existing, of course. And a 4-foot
You don't want to keep the
boardwalk.
beach to go?
The beach isn't going to be changed. It's about 50 yards to close it off.
No, but you'll lose this beach to go in
Yes,
again.
we're losing that little beach. She doesn't have kayaks. She's an older lady. Her husband passed away. She's not going to use it, so. And it does have DEC permit, by the way. And Corps of
Is this part of
Engineers.
her property, or is this the neighbor's?
Yeah.
That bulkhead going into the upland.
That is attached to the deck that's being removed, and that is on her property. Yeah. And both ends out.
Helps to see.
You know,
Yeah, that's a return. That's actually
my own
property.
feeling about this right now, before even the DEC, I would be against closing that off. One, because of, it's harder on the surface in that area. Even this softens it up if there's a storm going up, the waves hitting the beach instead of the bulkhead going straight across. And plus the horseshoe crabs might want to go up there and lay some eggs. And I'd rather see
There's a
more
large
beaches.
beach on this side, though, too.
Yeah, I'd rather see more beaches and less bulkheads.
I would too, but I can't make people
That's
do
my own
things.
personal
I don't-
feeling about that right now, unless you can change it.
Well,
Maybe you can talk me out of it.
That's what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
Corps of Engineers doesn't have a problem with it either. They just asked about the spring high watermark. So no other agency actually right now has a problem with it at all. They realize the slip's non-functional.
Yeah.
I've done this before with other
I mean, if the
non-functional
slip was like
slips.
in the water, you know, like only had, 6
Well, that would be-
inches
Yeah.
or 7 inches of water, but this is like a nice little.
It was advertised as a major project in
Yeah.
Southampton Press. We've got no comments objecting to it at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd like to, I personally would use it for kayaks and stuff, but it's not my property.
No, it's not. But the future. I'm looking at it like for
I know.
storm and waves and wave action against the bulkhead. Environmental.
Could you go back and talk with her about that possibility?
She's dead set on closing it off. She wants to sell the property, clean it up, and move. So, she's not gonna use it. She's older. And if all the other agencies didn't have an issue with it.
I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, they did.
Look, by looking at this,
They
I'm
issued it.
surprised at that.
It's all beach area. There's no wetlands in it, there's no vegetation in it. It was
See, there's
advertised
no-
properly.
There is no vegetation there.
No,
No, it's just sand.
there's nothing, it's just sand.
Are we holding this one? What's your recommendation on this, Pam?
I would love to hear what Ed has to say about this, actually.
Just wait for Ed.
Yeah, that's why I said it. It sounded like this was going on hold, so everybody can
Yeah,
digest this a little bit.
So holding that in?
please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'd weigh in on that.
What's the strategy?
Oh, in the meantime, could I just stamp these in? I realized that there was a typo on the tax map number.
Sure, thank you.
There you go. So I fixed it. Thank you.
James, do you stamp all of
The
your?
beach is.
Usually,
on the
yeah.
side, it's not in hers.
Just, not that.
See, we've got
extra
Aram
copy, though,
Tertunian from First Coastal here. Aram?
but all the pages here.
How are you, Aram?
I'm doing great.
All right.
Good afternoon, trustees.
Hello, Aaron. How are you?
Okay. All this signing in.
Give you all one out.
Next month, they're gonna ask for a pint of blood too.
Billy Mack does that. I got his Mets tickets. He's up to 5 gallons or something, so I've got Mets tickets.
We got Jimmy Rocco.
And M&J
M&J.
Plaza. So this is a Living Shorelines project, and since this was submitted, we made some modifications. They're, I think, improvements, and I have, yikes, I can't do that. I have copies of this package for everybody.
You want to stamp them in? Stamp one in?
I'll give you one to stamp in.
Thank you, sir.
For the last one, we just did Strauss, those are ink plans that are Jan handed in.
Strauss.
Thanks, Aram.
Ann's.
Ann's.
Ann's is the Strauss file. New plan.
Yes, yep.
They got some extras, I think.
No, they're all, there's all package, one package, one big package.
I just need to find out, is that everything? Yeah, but when James stamps it in, each page will be separate.
Wow.
So you can look at.
So, Trustee Welker and I walked this site probably about a year ago. And then, this is a really good site for the treatment we're proposing because it's bounded by bulkheads on the east and on the west. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 properties in between. Of those 10 properties, I've been in touch with every one of those properties, and with the exception of 632, which is the extreme west end, they all have signed on to undertake this project in concept, and 6 of them are actually in prep right now. So the 2 in the center are 622 and 624. We have applications for 612, 618, and 614 are in prep right now. And 612, you might have already gotten 612. I'm not sure.
It might be in the office, I think. I
Right.
don't know if it's gotten as far as us yet.
I think you did last week or something.
Okay.
Yeah. But I, really wanted to use these 2 projects to inform, first of all, I wanted the board to see this in a more or less global scale within this little pocket beach. And then on the particular 622 and 624, we made only one change, and that was to reduce the distance between from the shoreline that the rock sill is. And I'll tell you what changed on this. Two things. Number one, our original design was to take a 1-on-20 slope from the existing water line, raise that up and create basically a new high water line where the existing low water line is now, and then go a 1-on-20 slope seaward, and then the rock sill was going to be where that 1-on-20 slope intercepted the natural slope. However, in looking at the overall site, what I believe is a better design is to more align the rock sill with the existing bulkheads to the west and to the east. They're not exactly, but they're closely aligned, and maintain about a 30-foot offset instead of what was about a 60 to 75-foot seaward extension.
They would have been out farther.
They would have been out far, about another, almost, well, you can see where the originally proposed line was quite a big
Might be too
distance
far
farther
out.
And my original thinking was I wanted this 1-on-20 slope to intercept the natural slope, but really, if you look at this cross-section, everybody has copies of these in their packet. We achieved the 1-on-20 slope. There's a plan view. We achieved the 1-on-20 slope, and then the sill basically holds up the fill that's placed behind it. And this does 2 things for us. Number one, we have a natural slope that we can place the Spartina alterniflora on, so that we get a good intertidal area. Number 2, we reduce the amount of fill that we're placing, and this basically gives us what they call in the business a perched beach.
You said you're going to do 2 houses, or you're doing the whole stretch?
We're doing the whole strip, but these are the first 2 that came in.
Okay. But when you go to do the project, you're going to
Do it all at once.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is once you have it installed, what do you think? I know it's hard to adjust the time frame because of the weather.
Right.
And the waves and the storms for it to stop falling in, where you can see a notice. Because this is like one of the first ones you have done out here.
Well, we've proposed a monitoring program where we would go and obviously take ground photographs, but also we would go in and do some density measurements on the Spartina grass. So, we lay a 1-meter grid down, and then we count the chutes within the grid.
Where does the sand go, east or west there?
It's really just, it mixes back, it's
Back and
actually,
forth?
it's more to the east, but it really sloshes back and forth.
So it doesn't.
There's really no very
doesn't move
strong
outside of
current.
that.
It's really basically just erosion back.
Yeah. It flattens out and gets shallow.
And the other thing, what happens with these sills is they tend to settle a little bit, so we may have to come back in and do some maintenance on the sill in a year or so, but, that's...
And it's all native stones?
It's all native stones.
All around, no shop.
That's been an issue lately.
And if you'll notice, there are, and you can see them in the photographs, there are existing stones that are in
Stones. I
there right
remember walking there,
Yeah.
I think several years ago with Billy Mack.
Okay. So we're going to take these out, and to the extent we can reuse them, we will. And they're nicely covered with algae and barnacles, so.
Yeah, good for oysters.
That's, yeah, so, have you explored adding sections of oyster reefs?
Well, not to substitute for the rock, I would say in addition to the rock.
would do that afterwards.
And they'll probably end up on the inboard end, because you're gonna have wave action here, which will just, crush the shells.
Yeah.
So I don't think we can rely on that as a structure, but I think you'll have a great opportunity on the inboard end of this to place oysters, and if they, naturally seed out, they'll seed out the other side too.
So you have how many properties you think they're going to be engaging in this year?
Well, there are 10 total, and as I said, we have 9 of them are committed in one way or another. 6 of them we've already signed contracts with, and we're preparing the plans. That's why I want to show you this overall plan, so you could see how all the pieces fit together. And so they're going to be coming to you as we prepare them and submit them, but the object is to complete them as a overall project.
Once you hit the east and west, where the bulkheads are, what is the water depth there?
I can tell you what it is at 12. I don't know what it is at 6:30.
Just out of curiosity, once this is done, I would like to see, when you come back in a couple of years, to see if the water depth has changed.
Yeah, this is the hydro survey. So right here at 612 where this dock ends, it's less than a foot of water.
Okay.
And it's, as you can see, it increases very gradually as you proceed seaward.
So on the east of it, the water it's actually deeper. In front of these houses, it's shallower.
Yeah.
So eventually, hopefully, this will get a little bit deeper here, and all this will be the same.
It probably will even out, except for at the openings here where we expect to see some transfer.
That might be deeper, with the water going back and forth.
Because you're going to have water coming over and then coming back out through the gaps.
Yeah.
Aaron,
Good
when
place
you-
to go fishing.
Yeah, it will be in about 5 years, this would be a great place to go fishing.
The fly fishermen will be loving it.
Assuming this project gets approved, you wouldn't undertake it piecemeal, you would do it as a whole, correct?
Yeah, we would want to execute it as a complete project, but we could execute it from one side moving
Forward.
coherently. We would not want to start in the middle. These are the 2 applications that came in first, but every one of these owners from 612 all the way to 624 have already signed on board. So
Okay.
we expect, 612, as I said, is in. We're going to send modified drawings because we're moving everything back. 618 is already prepared, and you'll get it in a week. And 614 and 620 are going to follow shortly thereafter.
Where was the original boundary lines on these properties?
Way out.
And how many years did it take from there to there?
I don't have an exact number
It's
on
an
that. but-
estimate from land manager.
Yeah, you can do the layers between 2013 and 2018 is pretty dramatic.
It is pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
We're looking at erosion rates of almost 4 feet per year.
If you do 2013 and 2018 and you slide 2018 to 50% opacity.
I didn't realize you were working in the GIS unit.
She's amazing.
Background in archaeology, I know how to do GIS and maps all the time.
She's good at the research. Very good at the research.
I've looked at this project.
So the owners are actually pretty excited about this project.
Me too.
We've been sitting down with them and going through it. It's new to them as well. But they like the fact that they're going to be getting a little sandy beach.
For the
That's good for the horseshoe crabs.
for the dune restoration section, can you do it without the rocks? Can you just do the sand?
Well-
underneath, or
well,
without the rocks underneath, or?
We can, obviously, we can do it that way. We don't think that that's,
Because you have the wave break,
Right.
which will take the wave action away. If you have the vegetation behind that, you won't get less wave action on that sand.
well, you will get less wave action on that, but again, this is designed for a high-frequency, low-intensity event. This is designed to handle, because, the rock sill is only about 12 inches above the high water line. So, even on a moon tide, it's going to be mostly underwater. So if you have any type of storm event, it's going to be completely overtopped, and you're going to need that rock core on the dune for the larger storms, and that's what it's.
For a
intended
hurricane or something like that.
Exactly.
A hard northeaster there.
Yeah, it's something where you get, a couple of feet of storm surge.
'Cause that would get hit hard with the northeaster right there.
Now, if the board does approve it at that, then I highly suggest making sure that if that does get uncovered, it has to be recovered.
Recovered, yeah, of
and
course.
vegetation.
That would have to
If that's
be
the way
part-
you want to go, otherwise.
Yeah, that's why I would say that
taking
it
out
has
the
to,
hardened
you know,
structure and
for,
just putting sand and vegetation. would be
yeah,
my
you would have to have a maintenance program on it.
Yeah, that would also be part of our monitoring. I don't know, did we include a monitoring package when we submitted it to you?
Not as
think
far as
so.
I know.
All right, then we have developed a standard monitoring plan, which I can forward to you with these revised plans and sections.
Okay. Too excited?
Also, did you get a DEC permit for this yet?
No, DEC is still in prep. I actually been reaching out to Christian Nyako, who is the individual reviewing this. Been trying to get some comments out of him, and we keep playing phone tag. So I expect to get a hold of him in the next week.
That actually segues beautifully into my next question, which was, does DEC, are they expecting you to submit this as a cohesive project, so they review it as all 10 properties across the board, or are they accepting individual applications?
Well, so far, they've been accepting the individual applications, and that's one of the conversations I want to have with them.
One of my
Do the
concerns
same
is
thing for them.
segmentation under the secret process. I mean, I know there's an academic debate of whether or not the trustees are subject to secret, but since the trustees do make secret declarations, I would want to make sure that it withstands that sort of challenge.
And also, the way we've designed this project is that they're independent. So we respected the property lines, the openings are adjusted for the proper design opening for the length of structure. And so that way, we don't have anything overlapping. Everything abuts to
I think the trustees
within its
would
own
want
property.
separate applications for each property.
No, I
definitely.
understand that. I just, I want to make sure that we're not running afoul of anything that could
Yeah.
then later be subject to challenge and
That-
holding up
they're-
projects from moving forward.
It's laid out and designed so they can be done individually.
Okay.
I thought that seemed very important to the property owners as well.
Then they're individual projects, and it's not really so much of an
And this,
issue.
and this is gonna go with the deed of the property, the maintenance.
If that's a condition of the permit.
I would
then
want that to
we
have
would,
a covenants, that if the property's sold, they still gotta maintain the groin, not the groin, but
The sand and
The sand and
the beach,
Yeah.
vegetation on top of that.
I don't know exactly how you would
Whatever
word
they
that.
do.
If they don't maintain it, they're gonna
You have big trouble.
lose it.
Sure. I think that's something that perhaps Aaron and I can get together and we can sort of hash out how we'd like to structure it, whether it's a covenant, whether it's another vehicle.
Because what happens if property A was sold to, I bought it, and I didn't want to be a part of the other 5 people, I just let mine go, and it would affect the whole neighborhood.
Sure, and that would be a condition of approval but I would ask the board then perhaps to the application to give me some time to research the best mechanism for a project of this scope and scale, to make sure that whatever instrument we use to hold people's feet to the fire in terms of maintenance, it works together as a whole. So perhaps, Aram, you and I could meet and sort of explore that, since you know all the different players.
I would suggest holding it so Ed can see it as well,
Yeah.
Maybe get some comments from the DEC.
Yeah, it's not gonna-
And to write up that maintenance plan for every year.
Also, if there were
So you guys can-
any possibility that this could be, I so appreciate that it's a green project, but if it could be a little more green, as James was pointing out, that, are you thinking there are going to be rocks on each of these properties at the toe of the dune?
Well, they'll be inside the dunes, so you won't see them. You'll only see the beach grass. And that, the
That's a lot of reflection.
well, it's no reflection unless they're uncovered. And the only time they're uncovered is going to be during a significant storm event, not a minor storm event. At which point, that's when you need the protection. What I'd like also to point out to everybody is that, these properties are most of them are very close to the water. Like 618, for example, they've lost 45 feet since they did an addition to their house in like '98. So these are very high loss rate areas, and, setting buildings and activities away from wetlands is a cornerstone of wetlands protection. So we can't afford more losses of land in this area. In other words, if you had 200 feet to give, it would be a different animal. In some cases, you have 0 feet on these 3 properties. You have literally 0 feet to give. You look at these photographs, the high water line is at or under the pool and the deck.
I think I was down there one time, I think one of these houses, when it was just almost hitting the bottom of the pool with Billy Mack a few years back.
So, again, the design philosophy and concept behind the living shoreline is the appropriate mix of green and gray. And so I've striven very, very hard to make that mix here, and I think that what you're looking at is the appropriate mix because of these site-specific criteria.
I'll also be interested to see what DEC says about filling here.
Well, this is what's, so the DEC has a design manual that tells you to build this. And then they have an instruction appendix in the back that says you have to justify placing the fill, which I found amusing because you're telling me to build this, but you're telling me on the other hand to justify it. So we wrote a very detailed justification, footnoted scientific papers and the whole thing about why in this situation the filling of the wetland is appropriate, because we're ending up with a full Spartina marsh, a stable sandy beach, as well as an intertidal rocky shoreline. Which
More than
is,
tripling that.
yeah, and this, intertidal rocky shoreline is the most productive shoreline in, in the estuary. So,
Would you share that with us?
oh yeah, absolutely.
Justification?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're very proud of it. So what I'm hearing is that the board generally likes this idea. They'd like some things straightened out on monitoring and on maintenance, and to hear what the DEC has to say, and you'd like a copy of the fill justification.
And Ed's input as well.
And
Yeah, we're not going to, we're just not going to get advanced.
No.
It's,
This is a big project, and it's the first of its kind, and we're
Well-
excited about it, but cautious as we proceed.
That's good. Goes to resiliency,
Yeah. Yeah, we're both excited and cautious as well, because we realize, when embarking on something of this scale, we really,
We
You don't want to
appreciate,
rush it into it.
we appreciate the work that you've done, though, to gather and collaborate with these homeowners to get them to all work together. I'm sure that was no,
oh, it was a picnic.
And we're holding both of these, right?
please.
Yeah, we're going to hold those.
Want these back?
Nope.
Can you pass that down to Ann? This is a stamped copy.
In the front.
Thank you very much.
Yes, yes, thank you, Aaron.
Always a pleasure.
Okay.
Suzanne's here too.
Huh?
Suzanne's here.
I got Kevin Springer here too, right? So who's here first? Which one of you guys? Kevin? You've got 2 Springville Circle?
Do.
What does it say on here? Is that you?
2 Springville Circle, Sasso?
Yeah, that's you. That's it. And Ed Warner's. Fixed pier.
Well, the newest owner bought this property several years ago, and then last year, in regards to a fence on the property, it was determined that he doesn't have a permit for the bulkhead or any of the fixed docks or floating docks. So we are here to legalize, we're not redoing the bulkhead at this moment, because we are in court for the dock itself and the fence, so we need to take care of that first, which is going to constitute raising the fixed dock a little bit, because it is a little low to the wetlands.
You say you're in court, in town justice court?
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, you just for the record, so that you know, he's got on here to legalize 1 21x6 fixed dock, 1 16x3 ramp, a 6x20 floating dock, 70 feet of bulkhead with a 15-foot return and a 5-foot return.
That's correct.
Is that right? That's what application is calling for.
And how long
What's
ago
the
was this
mater-
put in?
Oh, it's been there forever.
So what's the material?
It's the old standard bulkheading, and we will have to replace some of, I don't think any of the wood is currently treated, but if it is, we will, obviously, that would be part of the project, is to make sure that none of it is, but honestly, I don't think any of it is. It seems like it was built properly, it just was not, nobody ever legalized it. Nobody ever went for a permit. And I believe ours is very consistent with what they're doing at number 4 Springville Circle also. So I know he ran into the same problem we did, and he has to legalize parts of his also.
You have 2 floats or just 1 float?
There's 2 floats.
And you're only allowed to have 1 float. And you're going for 2 floats?
Wait, are there 3 floats?
You got a jet ski float.
That should be taken off because that's a separate permit.
That is separate. Well, that's not on this, I don't believe, is it?
It's on this drawing here.
But it's not on the permit.
Not on the permit, okay.
No, that's got to be permitted separately.
The jet ski dock is just,
I'm not worried about that.
yeah,
But that needs a permit, but
right, but that's
Separate.
separate permit.
Right.
Separate from this application. So there's 2 6x20 floats, or
There's technically 3 of them.
One's like a
One
T
is,
at the
yes,
end?
there's a T at the end.
so there's 3 6x20 floats.
With no prior permit.
No, whoever the previous owner, we went back, way back, and could not find anything.
How long did you go back on the pictures? How long it's been there?
Take a look at this.
There in 2001. It's not there. I don't think that's 2001. It's 2 Springville. That looks like just 1 float, right?
In 2001?
2004.
2004.
This is 2008.
This looks like, the bulkhead looks like it's creosote.
Then it's really old if it's creosote.
Yeah, it's
2008.
It's old.
Yeah. 60s or something,
2010.
70s?
No, it's been that.
Older than that?
62 area.
60s.
60s?
Yeah, I don't think it's the
Yeah, but it's
70s.
still only.
60s?
70s, they
looks
were
like
using
one floating dock.
So we're approving creosote? I mean, it's already
60s.
there, but...
The idea is
6 by
to fix this, and then
14.
as soon as we take care of this and get through the court proceedings, then we're gonna
16.
tackle the actual.
Yeah, well, why fix it if you're gonna take it out?
What's that?
Why fix it if you're
Between
gonna take
16
it
and
out?
18, they added.
Well, we have to legalize the docks, because we are in, like I said, we're in court
Between
for that.
2016
So-
and 18, they've added.
They want us to legalize
Gotten
that.
bigger.
In order to legalize that, we
How
already
many
have to
years ago?
raise it.
That's,
And he just wants to do
You
the
can
one
have
project at a
historical
time, and then
permits
after
for
that,
it,
he'll
so
tackle
they
the
don't-
whole bulkhead.
There's no, it was done 2
It
years
seems
ago?
like we're violating
So it
our own
looks like it
book
was
by
extended
approving that. doesn't it?
Between
It
2016
says no
and
treated material
2008.
whatsoever.
Wait,
Let's say patch
let's
or whatever.
let's have one conversation at a time, because...
I can tell by how it is.
You guys waiting for me? I mean, if the pre-existing bulkhead is made out of material that violates the Blue Book rules and prohibitions against treated materials, then, yes, we would be going against the sort of standard of the trustees of not issuing permits for a structure made out of treated wood.
And how long has this guy owned it?
7 years, I believe.
And when did you say it was, looked like it was put in, added on to?
So this is 2018 aerial,
Right.
Okay.
okay? And then this is 2016 aerial. So you can see the
He
extension.
added 1
So
or
the
2
the
floating
owner who
docks.
has it now put it, added on
He added on to the floaters.
with
yes.
no permit?
Yes.
Okay.
He was under the assumption that he was all legal. He had no idea.
But he still didn't come in for
He did not
permits.
come in for a permit.
And there's no prior permits for any of the,
Yeah.
Right.
the work that's done.
And if you want me to make the bulkhead part of the permit, I mean, we can do that. I may have to extend that at some point, because the permits are only good for a year now, so that would.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, but then you got 4
4
years.
years.
Right, so,
You could renew it without doing the paperwork over again.
Yeah.
you know, he doesn't have a problem with that, because with that is, part of the plan is to fix it, because it's also not in very good shape.
Yeah.
And the neighbor at 4 just redid his, probably within the last year or so.
Do you need to discuss that with the owner?
No, I do not. I've had many I already told them that, you know, it's undermining as it is, and that it's not the right material, and your best bet is to, I actually tried to talk him into doing it the opposite, but because of the court case, and the judge wants this off our books. So,
Can we make a decision with a pending court case?
I would have to talk to the town prosecutor to find out the nature of the case. I don't know what the charges are or where the court is, where the matter is at, and I don't know if it's going to trial or et cetera, so.
it's not going to trial. We've been.
I'd have to check with Vicharis on that. But of course, I mean, usually when something is before justice court, the town prosecutor will allow an applicant to come to some sort of resolution and compliance with the board. So let me touch base with Rich Harris. You know, I think if we can get everything compliant, but in the meantime, to have a bulkhead of that size built out of non-compliant material is an issue for this board.
And also have, 3 floats, we should have 1 float.
Well, with no prior historical permit.
Yeah, so
Should be
he
catwalk.
should,
And added to.
yeah, we should give him a permit for what the blue book says, 1 float, the
Right.
walkway, the ramp, and no bulkhead. The jet ski is taken aside,
Separate, right.
it's separate permit. The other 2 floats gotta disappear, and that's it.
That's probably
And
the cleanest, easiest way.
that's what I would say, that's what Rich Harris wants to see.
No, and I imagine the trustees as well want to see an application
Maybe the
that,
homeowner doesn't wanna see that, but that's something else.
Because how much water is
that-
there?
Well, the soundings are on there. It is, we have the proper depth, but at that, at the length that we're at. So
Is there,
if anything, we would have to, in order to gain that length, to get that depth.
You have to make the dockway, you also have to make
Right.
sure that there's no pier.
Well, you got to narrow, now how wide is the street there?
which creek is this
Well, it's
on?
on
Smith Creek.
Yeah.
Creek.
Is it wide at that point?
It's pretty wide, yeah, because a couple of them
Smith
across
Creek, there's
the
no
way have
pier.
some pretty long
No,
docks.
you
it's
got
a
that.
third and a third.
Third, right, it's going to play into it, but you may be able to.
You said you have soundings? You have water depth?
I don't
Depth
see,
on there?
yeah,
Plans and survey.
On the survey.
he does
Roseanne or Ed?
he understands, does he understand he's going to have to go back to the 1 float, no reconfiguration on this because it's,
Does he understand it yet, kind of? Does he not like it yet? He's, you know.
I don't see depth on anything.
I have,
thought-
I definitely have surveys with depth on them, if you don't have them.
Okay, it's not.
That might be the
it's not part
originals.
of
Oh, you know what?
what we have.
When we originally put it in, then it was sent back, and I think we added the drawing, but did not add the new survey with the depth on there, because I definitely have that. I actually did the depth with him, so I know that we have.
that's why like a lot of times we get these requests before these properties change, to find out what the permits are and what aren't, so that people don't end up in this situation.
So how much water is there if you did the depths? Just, does he,
Go ahead.
well, is he building out because he needs to?
Yes. And it's, if you look, well, we don't have the overview now, but it's basically the same length as the one next door, it's just a little bit different setup. It's a little bit longer. I had informed him that the 3 floating was an issue, so he's aware of that. He doesn't like it, but he's aware of that,
All right, well,
He had enough, he could use it for the last couple of years.
Right, and again, as I tell all my customers, you should have checked with their attorney before you bought the property.
right.
Now you gotta pay the price for not.
Yeah, he knew it. The dock builder should have told him. The dock builder knew the rules.
Yeah, I don't know who did the docks, to be honest, I didn't even ask.
Well, at any rate, it all can be cleaned up and, you know, we can get the compliant project and continue to enjoy the water. And we can continue to maintain our Blue Book regulations and. All right, so we're gonna have to hold this one and we'll just have to work our way through this, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
No, that's the only one today. All right, thank you.
See you later.
Thank you.
All right, so that's on hold. And I guess we've got Susanna, you want to come up and do yours? Were you here before? Oh, you guys are together?
Yeah. Well, I have two, but
Hey, Mike.
Hello, Mike.
This was a-
Hi, everyone.
if we could do Levine first.
Levine, that's Stafford's modification?
Yes.
Sure.
So, I
Doing
don't know
Levine,
if you remember this one.
We're doing Levine.
Oh, yeah.
We were in front of you for quite a few months, talking about the height of the dock. So we got your permit, we submitted the application to the Village of North Haven trustees, and they had a couple of minor modifications that they wanted to see, and they've now approved it, but it's conditioned upon us getting a modification so that all of the other permits match their approval. So the only changes are that they require a 30-foot side yard setback as the property extends out into the water. So I had to shift the float over by 4 feet. So it stays in the same depth of water, just shifts away from the property line 4 feet. And also, they requested that we add steps to go up and over.
Okay.
We would have added them anyway, but I don't, they're 30, so they,
You require a 10-foot
Right.
offset.
right,
They want
that's
30.
it. They
They're-
require 30.
They require 30. It's a zoning setback, so it's as if it were a garage you were building on the property. They require that it meet the setback. And I met the setback at the beginning, but the property is not.
Zigzags.
It's not exact, yes, angled just a little bit. So that's shifted. Previously, it was more of an L shape with the float that was over, a little bit closer to the
They
property.
don't make the float to be 30 feet off, just the dock itself?
No, the float has to be
The
30
float-
feet.
Oh,
And that's what they've done is they've moved the float
Okay.
to meet the 30-foot minimum.
Okay.
The dock itself didn't move, the ramp didn't even move,
Move just the float.
just the float.
Okay. Oops. It's okay with me.
So as,
Seems okay.
still
Is there any
meets all of
problems with it,
your.
Bruce?
No, the only thing that, just me being me, is the Village of North Haven, you're gonna give them an inch, you're gonna take a mile. What's the next problem they're gonna have? And we should make note of this in any applications we got with the Village of North Haven, so you know what to expect.
Right, and I did go down their list of requirements, and when I designed it, I thought I had designed it to all of their requirements. I just miscalculated on the float.
I have no problem with it.
And the up and over, it's not
Well, we
really,
usually require that anyway.
right, it's not really a heavily trafficked area, so we didn't really think.
Over there, not at all.
This was the original, just to give you a reference. It's an L shape, and then the new one is the more of a T shape, which makes it 30 feet off.
I'm good with it. You wanna advance it?
I'd say we should advance it.
We held on to it long enough.
Yeah, it's really straightforward. And unfortunately for our client, he's gotten stuck betwixt and between the Village of North Haven requirements and, the requirements of this board. So
Well,
he's just trying to move
it
forward.
seems everybody tells the trustees what to do, because no matter what we do, we're never right. The idea is to get it low as possible for everybody, so nobody has to stare at it, or look at it, or run into it, and, we lost that battle.
Well, the other agencies, the DEC and the Army Corps and North Haven all want the 4 feet.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You just got to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got to get 5 different agencies to approve the same
Lucky you.
structure. So, yeah, we definitely picked
That's why I
that.
get paid big bucks.
Yeah, right, not enough. They charge more.
Get on this side of the table.
You have something else you have?
I've been on that side of the table. It doesn't pay more big bucks. I can assure you.
How true you are.
Way back, right?
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you.
See you later.
Mike?
Yeah, this one is in Ed's area,
Yes.
and I don't know if
Well, yeah, I have Ed's
Okay.
paperwork right here. Are we talking about Ed Cordino, 8 Roland Court, Hampton Bays?
Yes.
Okay, let's see what we have here. Okay. Construct a 4 by 135-foot catwalk, 8-inch diameter posts, 2 4x5 steps up and over catwalk for pedestrian passage, and a ladder at the end. All decking to be open grate, all wood to be untreated, remove remains of old dock, all is shown on plans by Inc. Consultants dated August 24th, 2018.
So it's just a catwalk. There's remains of an old catwalk that's at the site. I don't know if you have them.
Here's some pictures, I'm going to send them down for you to see.
Thank you.
It's a bulkheaded piece of property. There is a gravelly, sandy beach there, which between high and low, there would be pedestrian.
Where is this again?
8 Roland Court,
Okay.
Hampton Bays, which is
Remember when we were doing this a few years ago?
the bulkhead.
Yeah.
So we tried to design it to the Blue Book standards and in accordance with the other docks that are along that shoreline. One of the photos shows the docks just a little bit to the north. There's a line of docks there.
And how far out is he going?
135 feet off the bulkhead.
Is there a pier line in Shinnecock Bay?
We Blue Book compliant with this, James?
I don't think there's a.
I don't think there's a pier line,
think
is
we're
there?
okay.
And it's really long, those ducks are really
Right,
long
I
along there.
tried to scale out the existing docks and match that so that it would,
In some areas, you have water, in some areas,
Shinnecock
there's no water.
floating docks are not to exceed 135 feet in length measured. This is not in the same area. In the Coast Guard station to Cormorant Point, and then Aragon Road East, is that in that
yeah,
section?
You're in that zone.
we're just
You're in that
south
zone.
of
Yeah.
Cormorant
You're in that
Point.
zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I got the 135 feet.
So
And it
you're-
did seem to match the other ones. And
The depth, water depth you have is what
it's
you
2
have?
feet.
Negligible.
Yeah, it's 2 feet at the
So the only other thing you can do is, if it goes, does it go out, does it get deeper in so many feet? then
Appreciable
you-
water depth.
Yeah, then you stop.
If you were to make it shorter, it
If there was
would,
no pier line,
yeah.
then you, if you couldn't make the 100 feet, then you'd go back to 25 feet.
Yeah.
But since there's a pier line of 135
Good
feet,
point.
I would say that, it has to come back.
What's Ed's recommendation on this? Did you speak to him?
We went over it,
I would hold it to, go ahead.
yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
It meets all the Blue Book regulations at this point in time? Yes? Totally compliant?
But I
For the
still
pier
think,
line it does, and the floating
still
deck-
think it's a good idea for Ed to,
No, we'll wait for Ed, but if it's a Blue Book compliant project, it's a Blue Book compliant project.
Is there any way we can put it on for Monday if Ed's here?
I would say you could advance it if the board wants to advance it pending Ed's agreement to that, right?
And at
He
the
could,
meeting.
he could pull it if he doesn't think it's,
Yeah, it can be tabled.
he could table it,
okay.
right?
Okay.
I just don't know
And
when
if
he's
he's
gonna
not
be
here, then
back.
it's automatically
if
tabled.
he's
that
not
way,
here.
right?
Okay.
Just like the other one, or?
Yeah, I mean, we could, advance it in the interest of the fact that it does comply with Blue Book regulations, and out of respect for Ed, give him the opportunity to table it for a site-specific reason, whatever, that he feels, and he's got the ability. But it does meet, you have met the conditions that are required in the Blue Book
Okay.
for, permit issuance standards, so.
All right, so we're advancing pending Ed's approval like the prior one.
Yes.
Right, so I appreciate it, and if he has issues with it, I can come back to the next work session, and we can talk about it.
Okay.
I'll
That's
be
fair.
here anyway.
That's fair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
We have no other, we have nobody here except for.
Just Joe.
Well, we got Joe. I don't know if you want to finish these permits and then go to exec? Or you want to have our intern from the town attorney's office come in and give us a synopsis of what she's learned today at the trustee meeting?
She's still smiling,
She's still
so.
smiling and awake, so
She
that's
hasn't run
good.
away yet. She hasn't run away yet. Let's go back. Upperfield LLC, 108 Little Neck Road. It's one of Ed's with Surfside Environmental. James, could you give me or give the board a synopsis of this?
108 Little Neck, we talked about it a while back. They came in for a bulkhead and then a catwalk and
Where they
float.
can't get to the depth of,
Right,
By
so
about 8 feet, I
they
think.
withdrawn because the trustees said, bring it back to the proper water depth. Or we're, because they can get to the proper water depth, but they want to go out farther.
There's no pictures. So I mean, this one here is more pictures here. I think we definitely should hold this one for Ed, I think, on this one here. Now, we gave him a length, right?
Right. Let me just pull this up.
my understanding is there's a small pocket of appreciable depth, but then no place for,
Is that what it is?
yeah.
Just saying?
So there's a little puddle of
little
appreciable
hole there.
depth, and then there's no way to get it in or around it.
What was Ed's feeling on this?
I mean, it was the whole board's feeling is that they would bring it back, and that's why they didn't. They withdrew it so they can get the bulkhead permit. Now they're coming back for the.
All right, there's your
For
sign.
farther out.
So we wanted him to go over to, okay, we pulled it back, and then I see it. What is
No,
it?
they're still not at
It-
the 2.5 on the inside
They're
of
at
the float.
2.0. Is that what I'm saying?
Right.
Yes.
So the difference is a 1.8 versus a 2.0.
And I believe they did this because it's under the 100 feet.
Wait, there's not, so there's a pier line limitation of 100 feet.
Well, it's the tidal
There's
water
still-
section
you're
of, it's not a
talking-
pier line, it's tidal water section.
I thought it was a pier line.
Old Four Pond, I don't think has a pier line.
Let's see.
No, so it would be if the depth measurement shows that no appreciable depth.
Just tilt the motor up a little bit.
So dock and float shall not exceed 100 feet in length measured from the mean high water mark or bulkhead or past the depth of 30 inches average low water, whichever comes first.
Well,
So-
they never, are they ever?
The last issue, when you guys discussed it, you wanted to bring it back to the 2.5 feet of water. And they were like, no, it gets shallow again.
2.4, 2. It just went away.
But then to go all the way,
What's the distance? It goes to 1.8, then it drops right back down again. You can't tilt the motor up and then just come in that way.
and, yeah, I mean,
What are we talking about lengthwise differential here?
I don't have the scale.
That's all right. I'm just looking at it here.
I mean, it looks pretty significant to come back. And then if you go forward to the 2.73 feet, then you're
It's
you're
only-
well over the 100 feet.
It looks like it's only you're talking about, 30, 40 feet.
Here's the original drawing, so you could scale from that. Sorry.
Comparisons.
Is there a reason why the agent couldn't make it today?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think we should put this one on hold for Ed.
Yeah, I think Ed should definitely be here for
This
this
one
one.
should go on hold. This one you gotta digest
Maybe
a
we can
bit.
get Surfside in here too.
Yeah, I think she's gonna have to come in because, they make the power trim and tilt, so you can tilt the outboard up. Get over a little shallow spot. We'll see. Okay, so we're gonna hold that. The next one I have is Donald Miller, 11 Bayview. This one, they were going to be creating an indented boat slip area. And we requested, I guess, the DEC permits we wanted to look at?
Yeah, we requested the DEC permit, which he did give us. Did talk to him. I was under the understanding he was going to be here.
I think he should be here for this one, because this one is, they're gonna take and they're gonna make a new indented boat slip area. And I wanna show you the pictures.
Can you pull it up, James?
Yeah, Village of Quad.
Here's the pictures that I have in the file. Okay. And you can see,
So why isn't he here today to explain himself?
I thought he was going to be here. I'm not sure why he's not.
this is a more complex project, creating a boat slip.
You think?
Yeah.
Can I see the plans?
Right here. But I think that he really needs to come here, and I think it's a
And
day that
explain
the
it.
full board should be here as well.
Okay.
For an application that is,
So we'll hold it then?
yeah, I'd say let's hold this. And I also would like the staff to circulate a copy of the DEC permit for you all to look at as well.
Because that's the only thing that's changed between
Yeah.
the last time.
Right, we had a presentation, we looked at it, we were waiting to
Right.
see what the DEC was gonna say or do, and now that's come in, so I
Okay.
think everybody should have the opportunity to study that.
So we got one left then,
I
Bill?
think that, we're gonna hold that,
Okay.
okay? We have bills, we have one left for Bill, and then we can go to exec session. You're up there, Bill.
Madeline Robin, address of the property is 90 Island Creek Road. This, Marty Shea sent a letter in on this, and I kind of actually agree with Marty. Show you the pictures.
Here's the property from an aerial stance.
Okay.
It's
It's up a
small
creek.
little
It's up-
creek.
Yeah, there's like no wave action up there.
Don't look like there's a whole lot of water either.
No.
Very shallow. And there's a railroad tie, railroad tie bulkhead was put in several years ago, a long time ago, with no permit. He wants to bulkhead that, which I think that it's in Marty's area. It could be in ours, it could be in him, because part of it hits the high tide, and part of it is way up, but it's all muck, wetlands there.
So that platform they're removing, and they want to put in a deck, or a dock, no, fixed catwalk
Fixed catwalk, they can,
out.
I have no trouble with the fixed catwalk. Has to put a ladder on it or step. But the bulkhead, I'm not too keen on.
Yeah, so the bulkhead you can see is above mean high water,
Do you have that letter from?
where the majority of the,
I
I
don't
believe
know.
it should be,
file.
I think it's on the front cover of that.
So if it's like a retaining wall?
It's really
It's
more
a
of
timber block upland retaining
So
wall
it's a
as
retaining
proposed.
wall outside of our jurisdiction?
Right.
So if it's a retaining wall
Town
outside of...
regulated naturally vetted, please advise Madeline Roblin, 90 Island Creek Road, North Sea property contain town regulated naturally vegetated tidal wetlands which need to be preserved to protect public wetland values and benefits. Property is situated within a protected shallow tidal cove of much value for young shellfish, fish, and shellfish, and wildlife. The home is not threatened by wave action. Practical alternatives need to be explored to address any vulnerability to flooding, namely elevation of the house. Reconstruction of the bulkhead
Oh,
will
are they on
result.
here?
You have to email them. to
Wait,
us.
I might have some on here.
Reconstruction of the bulkhead will result in irreversible loss of tidal wetlands.
Okay, so we're talking about the upland retaining wall.
Yeah.
That's what
Right.
they're referring to as a bulkhead.
Yes.
Right.
Outside of our jurisdiction, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Correct.
part of it's in ours, but most of it's in the conservation, it's upland.
Okay, you cover the vote?
Yeah, you got
Are there
the
pictures?
Did you cover?
I'm just looking at Bill's pictures here.
Yeah.
Here.
There's pictures up here. I mean, they're not the greatest.
I think this has to go on hold. I don't see,
Yeah.
I don't see,
I mean, I
huh?
would suggest removing that, the
The float
bulkhead
has
and
to
stuff
go.
from the application. The floats they're proposing to remove.
That has to
I'll
go
I
text you.
think you gotta just focus on the catwalk.
catwalk.
Correct.
Agree
So
with
if he revises cover sheet and plans showing replacing, or, putting in the catwalk, then that's something you guys should review.
That's what I would want to do, just do the
Okay.
catwalk.
So I'll let him know.
So this is definitely on hold until it can go
Yeah.
anywhere. Okay. So
And
that-
any reference to bulkhead is removed from cover sheet?
Yeah,
Plans.
Right, it's not a structure within the trustees,
Right, no,
Jurisdiction.
I'm saying just
Okay.
that should be
it's
removed.
really a retaining wall.
So that concludes the permitting section of today's meeting.
and probably on the end of the, you need a ladder.
Yes.
Does anybody have anything that they need to?
I got a couple.
Go ahead.
Rosewalk come out, did Widow Gavitt's. Turned out great. Neighbors were unbelievable. I couldn't believe nobody had a fit that they were blocking the road this morning at 7 a.m. And I asked them for a second price, because there's another section of road, actually two sections that are really just as good as the rest of it. So he gave me an estimate of $16,675 to repair the second half of this road. When I said to you, we're gonna go back, I gotta go back, do more. And then we should be good for a while, but ultimately, this road has no sub-base whatsoever.
So it's basically going to be a problem.
Well, he thinks it's gonna hold together for a while, but he was amazed at the amount of traffic. School buses, parents, trucks, cars going through there from Bridgehampton. It's a major
Major
thoroughfare.
cut through.
And the thing is that we don't get any help from any of the general tax for maintaining this road. This is all coming out of just when people have built on there, it's going into that special road fund. And that's a finite number. And I think it's less than $200,000 now. And it's going down, down, right?
Well, I think we owe it to the people there. And, if we do a little piecemeal here and there, hopefully we get by.
Well, if it's that heavily trafficked by the public, you want to maintain a safe, drivable road.
100%.
Right? It's
Yep.
just the reality is, again, you need to find appropriate sustainable funding sources to do this.
100%. The next thing I got is our pier, Dock Road, Noyak, off of Pine Neck Avenue. The woman, or our new neighbor, who's building a new house, she threw up a concrete wall on the road. The road is substantially damaged. I'd like to see us hire our own surveyor and survey it, so we know exactly where everything is, 100%. So then there's no questions.
I think we talked about that and said that we're going to do a survey.
We did, but I figured I'd bring it up again.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of this,
I need a resolution for Monday on that.
right, I talked to Joe, somewhere along the line, there's no signs on this road saying what you can do, what you can't do, except the big sign there. And this is definitely a trustee road. This neighbor is using it for all her construction vehicles, so there's no trailers and trucks that can park on that road and get away with it. People are parking up on Pine Neck Avenue, and they should be able to use that road to their advantage because it's our road. And there's nothing restricting the construction vehicles she's using or being used at her place to park there.
Could we put up signs which said, parking by trustee permit only or town permit, like we have at the signs on the ocean?
So
Bruce spoke to me. I'm gonna type up a change for the Blue Book
Okay,
that'll allow you to put those signs up.
okay.
And then I'm gonna give.
How do we put those signs up on the ocean roads? And
You have to amend the Blue Book, have the public hearing, and when it's adopted, then you'll be able to do
is
it.
it, on the ocean roads, we already do it.
Yeah, but you're already in the Blue Book with the ocean
Okay,
roads.
okay.
And just for a point of information, that retaining wall that the lady built, a stop work order was issued by the building department, so.
Okay.
If I could add something, at the very top of Pine Neck, the beach known as Circle Beach is fee-owned by the trustees, including the parking area. So that may be something that you want to consider adding to where your trustee road sticker.
100%, and the beach itself is also ours.
Yes, it's absolutely owned. in
We
fee
were
time by the
approached
trustees.
last year, a gentleman in Sag Harbor, he lost his son, and he asked if he could put a bench out there. And I went to who I thought owned it at the time, she turned me down. I've since learned that it's ours.
All of it is.
All of it is. So
There's markers down in the thing which says trustee markers. Fred Havemeyer had them made, so you could put them on each side of the boundary line.
Okay. And the only other thing I had a gentleman call me about a parcel on Round Pond Lane. And he says that according to what he's got, Sprig Tree Path is an abandoned road back there. And I said, I don't have that knowledge. He's trying to get a permit from the DEC, who says it's ours. I can't find anything anywhere saying it's whatever. We're gonna have to do a little research on
Sprig
it
tree?
before we write any letters, yeah.
Sprig.
Just two sprig trees is one.
What is it off of?
Widow Gavitt's, I mean, Round Pond, he says it's off Round Pond Lane, but if you go down Widow Gavitt's, that's where their Sprig Tree Lane is.
It goes down like this.
Yeah, there's two roads, one is private and
Yeah.
one is public. Okay. That's all I got.
So anybody else have anything?
A couple quick things. Sorry, did I jump in? James and I attended town board meeting last night. That was the review for the water quality projects, and it appears that the two Mecox Bay sensors will be approved and moved forward. So the two additional sensors. Right, so that's a good thing. Also, Ed and I had a very productive meeting the other day with Mayor Irving and Trustee Kimberly Allen of the Village to discuss with Dr. Christopher Gobler on a phone call to discuss placing one buoy in Lake Agawam, splitting the cost of that buoy. So we're waiting for a proposal from Dr. Gobler. I spoke with Len Marchese, who said that if we were to, because this is a contract, this could come in under the contracts line. That's how it could be.
Oh, you mean on our budget?
Yes.
Yeah, we have money in our budget, it's just a matter of whether or not that's what the board wants to do. We have
Right.
money, and we have money in contingent.
Right.
As we said, we left money in contingent for other things as well.
Right. There was some thought that there had been a designated fund from the Lake Agawam parking lot maintenance for the rain garden that, but that, it doesn't seem to be. Len didn't know of that, so I asked specifically about that, so that's why.
No, we have fund balance that everybody gets sent to, and then we have our adopted budget, and then we left this section in there for contingent to
Right.
feed those other lines. We had to do that today. We have to move money into repairing equipment. I mean, we spent a lot of money on the barge and other things that have broken. Consultants, we've spent a bunch of money on, and obviously, legal fees have ramped up as things have become more active. So we're feeding, now we're gonna go for a survey, right? We went for some title reports, right? So we've had to take some money from contingent and move it in there.
Right. This would be a $10,000 cost that would be split by the village and the trustees.
Now, is this the 1 year, one time?
1 year, 1 year.
Because, you know,
Yes,
we
yes.
talked about this.
Pilot project, 1 year, apply to CPF going forward with an expanded project.
Right.
That would be the plan.
Because we got, you know, like,
Yes.
we got a lot going on here.
What is the
Totally get
village doing with the homeowners on the pond itself?
Discussing upgrading septics, buffers, installing buffers, talking about how to roll back the use of fertilizers and pesticides, not only on the lakeside properties, but also upland in the watershed, so they're very concerned about Lake Agawam. So they're very much
Yeah,
addressing it.
You know, there's a whole host of issues, you know, we're all looking at water quality, deteriorating infrastructure, defense, you know, of these lawsuits. We've just got to figure out how to pay for it all, and sustainably. You know,
This is a nominal cost.
I understand.
that-
That's why I asked about the moving forward. I don't mind getting involved
No,
in
no,
a
no.
pilot project. But
I
Yeah.
very specifically said 1-year pilot project.
Right, because there should be a different pool of money that should be paying for these things, because it is very important. Water quality is important. We should, you know,
Yep.
see where we need to have these monitors throughout the town, find the appropriate sustainable funding source and attach it to that, so that we can try and, you know, like, pay for Baycrest, Bay Avenue, whatever else we're gonna do.
Right. Right. Just one more thing. Couple dates, just kind of save the date, heads up. June 12th, at the, hold on one second, sorry. Just make sure I have that date right. Wednesday, June 12th. I'd like to suggest that everyone attend a coastal resiliency forum at the Quogue Wildlife Refuge. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. It's co-sponsored by Quogue Wildlife, Department of State, and South Shore Estuary Program. I attended a similar coastal resiliency forum in February in Sayville, and suggested that they might want to repeat this program further east. So that's one thing, and also just so it's on your calendar, Tuesday, July 9th will be our night meeting in Bridgehampton. Just so you have both those. And we're in the process of getting speakers for both of them.
Okay.
That's it.
Anybody else?
You said what?
I'm down on
June 12th.
Agawam parking lot. We got a notice from the village about the sidewalk down there. Richie is gonna go down and take a look at it with maintenance. I went down there, took a look at it. It's like cracked and caved in. And there's a couple spots should be fixed so people don't trip over it.
Of course. Can we handle that, or do we have to get the contractor to do that?
I'm not quite sure. We'll wait
All
for
right, so we'll wait for Richie. If Richie can fix it, we'll do whatever we gotta
Then
do.
there's the boat ramp down there too. Our boatman's, he's gonna throw some stone on that too.
So he's gonna deal with that.
That's gonna be in-house.
We're down 2 guys this week. One's on vacation, one's on medical. And there's no word on the one on medical.
Okay. Well, right now, we'll just do the best we can.
That's it.
That's all we can do.
They've been doing great.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have. We do have some brush jetties that we're gonna have to get taken care of in the East Quogue area, so I'm hoping that when the buoys and the markers are in, we can get on those. Brush jetties are very effective when they're
Did you
maintained.
mention it to Rich to put on a?
I mentioned it to Rich. Yeah, he's aware of it. It's just that things are in a triage mode. But you can't let him get too far.
But sometimes when there are projects that that you can't work on when there's only 2, maybe that would be one of the projects. You
Yeah,
could slip
I'll
it in.
speak to Rich, but we'll get him on his radar again. Okay, anybody else? I know we have an executive say, we got to give the quiz. We're giving a pop quiz for all the remaining people that are in the audience today. All right, does anybody else have anything that's pressing? Because I know we have special counsel here that needs to brief the board on litigation and confidential legal advice for an executive session.
Yep.
So if there's nothing more, I would make a motion to adjourn the meeting
Second.
and go into executive session for the purposes of confidential legal advice concerning litigation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.